But let's see what this paperwork say. Byron Blake covered this. We're going to go over this. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, man. Shout out to that brother for going over this paperwork. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, man. Let's see this joint here.
Weeks ago, Big U filed a motion to exclude prior act evidence. In this motion, he challenged a lot of different things, but today we're going to be focusing on the overt acts because there are certain overt acts that Big U felt like the government included in his indictment just as filler, kind of like fluff, you know. Now, specifically, Big U would accuse the government of including a catch-all category in his indictment. This catch-all fear and control over community and victims category. He says that it relies on overt acts 106, 110, 111, and 145 through 170 generally, you know, and he would list these overt acts and basically say that the omnibus category is too vague to permit meaningful notice and too broad to allow fair litigation. The government cannot admit a sweeping block of alleged overt acts generally as proof of fear, power, or control without identifying the specific evidence, witness, exhibit, and non-propensity purpose for each item. Basically, he's saying that, you know, they are saying that they are trying to prove that he has established fear and control over the community and victims to, you know, explain why people haven't spoken out or why people were going along with the extortion. And he's saying that a lot of this stuff that, you know, y'all have put together doesn't even, you know, say anything. It's just a big group of stuff that doesn't even connect to the actual charges.
Okay, now I want to say this, right? Man, it's a lot of people that said Big U was running pressure, that he was extorting, right? Big U even went and said himself that you got to check in. You know what I'm saying? This is what happens, though, with people when they get too comfortable, right? And they doing crime. You can't never be comfortable doing crime. Big U was comfortable. If anybody come around here to shoot a movie around here, to do anything around here, they got to check in. We're going to mess the whole setup. This is the shit he said out of his own mouth. He recorded this shit on podcast and more shit. You understand that they're going to use all that shit, right? They're going to use the stuff that Big U said against him. Then you got individuals, Dale, Molly Moore, that said Big U was running pressure on them. They're going to use that shit. And who else we don't know that was being extorted, because they got the files sealed. So it's individuals that we don't even know because the files are sealed that probably done said something against Big U because they were being extorted. The game that they was playing out there, yeah, they was telling on themselves. You got to check in. Now listen, let's just keep it a buck, right? If Big U was making niggas check in and that was his thing, right? Why did he have to brag about that? If you making niggas check in, just make them check in. You know damn well it's a crime to extort people. So why are you on the internet telling people that they gotta check in? And then saying if they don't check in, this is what's gonna happen. So it's like, what do you expect people to do? And I'm just being real. What do you expect people to do? You expect people Now, Big U was putting pressure on. They even said the food carts, man. They said Big U was putting pressure on the food carts, man. Niggas out there going to work every day to live, man, in a damn food cart, man. Man, they said Big U putting pressure on nigga in the food cart, man. You ain't making that damn much money. Like, come on, bro. You think them people that was getting pressed on them food cart don't feel some type of way? And I want Big U to fight his case and go to war, right? I'm just being real. I want him to fight his case and go to war. But can we make it make sense though? The main individuals that are rooting for Big U, they never had a bad experience with Big U. Big U ain't never make them check in. Big U ain't never take nothing from them. What about the people that Big U was taking shit from? People don't really be thinking about that shit. What about it's people that Big U was taking shit from? What about those people? But it's the people that didn't have that experience. You know, them people that was getting pressed and shit like that, they feeling some type of way. They happy right now that Big U going through something. If we being real. Everybody else, you know, us that ain't get pressed, we can say whatever. But they feeling some type of way because they was the ones getting pressed. You think about you getting up, going somewhere, and you got to worry about this big nigga telling you, yo, what you got? What's up? What you doing today? Popping up on you. Now, this is something that people really got to think about. And one thing that the people are going to know about me, I'm just going to keep it real. I ain't going to get on here. I don't do that. It's a lot of people that they do different shit and they just go with the flow. I do not do that. I'm just keeping it real. What about the people that was really being pressured, impressed about their paper? But I guess, you know, when somebody's not going through them things, they don't care about that.
He cites Rule 404B requiring a disciplined item-by-item propensity-free chain of reasoning, not a thematic narrative untethered to particular proof. Basically saying, hey, if y'all gonna have this stuff mentioned in my overt acts, then there needs to be some particular proof that, you know, ties me to these overt acts. Otherwise, y'all just throwing a bunch of allegations out there. Among those allegations is overt act number 155, which alleges that on December 30th, 2022, on an intercepted call, defendant Henley said that when defendant Henley catches Wack100, I'ma break his jaw. The defense response to this is a private statement of frustration, not a threat communicated to Wack100. There's no evidence that Wack100 ever heard this statement, was placed in fear, or harmed. The government has not charged any assault on Wack100. He would also include overt act number 164, which alleged that on January 12, 2023, on an intercepted call, defendant Henley said he wanted to beat the out of Wack100. The defense response to this is the government has not identified what action, if any, followed because none did. Expressing disapproval of an informant in a private conversation is not obstruction of justice, witness tampering, or a RICO predicate act.
Listen, we all know Wack is working, right? But I really feel like Big U is more focused on exposing Wack for working than really fighting this case. We know Wack is working. This right here, this motion that he put in right here, I don't think if they grant this motion, it's gonna help Big U's case at all. Because you got your man accepting the money for the extortion. So it shows right there that you was accepting payments from the federal government, extorting somebody, and the guy that you was extorting has made statements to the government, which he's been cooperating before. So I'm like, you gotta understand, right? I think, just as my opinion, that Big U is focused on the wrong shit. You got a lot more to worry about, man. We all know that Wack is them people out here. Everybody knows it. But you trying to expose, you trying to make sure you identify and expose Wack. That shit ain't helping you fight your case, because we already know what it is. Wack is working, yes, but you got other situations that you got to worry about. You got Dale, Molly, Loose Cannon, and you got your homie accepting the payments. I mean, this is what I think, though.
Government must prove a specific criminal act, not a cultural attitude. In support of this, Big U would argue that the government may rely on the proposition that in conspiracy cases, it may prove the full scope of the conspiracy. That proposition, however, does not mean every uncharged act connected in some way to an alleged conspiracy or enterprise is automatically inextricably intertwined. Basically saying that every single thing that we done, all of this stuff that we not even charged with, is not automatically a part of the conspiracy or, you know, an extension of the conspiracy because y'all alleged that a conspiracy was going on at the same time that this was going on. Critically, even in the RICO context, the government must make an affirmative showing how proof of each incident it seeks to admit constitutes proof of the scope of a charged conspiracy to avoid a Rule 404B analysis. So when you talking RICO cases, to avoid this 404B scrutiny, you have to show how all of these affirmative acts constitute proof of what you are charging us with. You know, if you got a overt act saying, you know, I threatened to break Wack 100's jaw, then you need to have a thoroughly presented breakdown that shows how this is proof of what I'm being charged with. Where the government seeks to introduce uncharged acts that are not alleged in the indictment as predicate racketeering acts or acts in furtherance of the conspiracy and fails to provide 404B notice, the court should exclude the evidence. So he's saying, hey, if these acts are not, if we not charged with this and they not saying that this was done in furtherance of the conspiracy or that it's not an actual racketeering act, then y'all should not allow this in. And in closing on this paragraph, he says that where uncharged acts are sufficiently disjointed from the charged pattern of racketeering activity, they cannot be deemed inextricably intertwined and must be subjected to the strictures of Rule 404B. Furthermore, the use of uncharged acts to prove a RICO conspiracy raises acute jury instruction and jury unanimity issues, making it hard for the jury to be unanimous. And as the jury may properly rely on non-predicate overt acts to reach a verdict. In other words, when you bringing in a bunch of stuff that we haven't been charged with, you may confuse the jury and have them relying on something that we haven't been charged with that's just an overt act. And they may end up finding us guilty on that. Now, the government would respond to Big U, and they would say that the fear and control category encompasses charged overt acts that are direct evidence. They would go on to say the defendant's motion challenges dozens of overt acts alleged in the first superseding indictment, styled as Rule 404B concerns. That framing is backwards. The government is entitled to prove the overt acts charged in its own indictment. These are not uncharged other acts. They are part of the charged RICO conspiracy, and proof of charged overt acts requires no 404B justification. Now, the reason I was emphasizing uncharged in the last stuff that I was reading from Big U is because I was seeing that they were locked in on that. He kept saying, y'all saying I threatened Wack 100. I'm not charged with that. Y'all saying that I said I wanted to beat up Wack 100. I'm not charged with that. The government is now coming back and saying that, yes, you are. The fear and control category that Big U is talking about encompasses charged overt acts that are direct evidence. Again, it says these are not uncharged other acts. They are part of the RICO conspiracy, and proof of charged overt acts requires no 404B justification. So, long story short, Big U is charged with assaulting Wack 100. It says it right here in the paperwork. He mentioned Wack 100 specifically, and this has been a topic for quite some time. Wack has always been saying, I'm not in the paperwork. I'm not in the paperwork. And people have been debating over whether or not Wack was actually involved in this investigation in the eventual charging and incarceration of Big U.
Well, we know Wack worked hard on this case. We know Wack was involved. He lined shit up. He did work to help get the indictment. And the feds, they've been using Wack, right? So Big U pressing Wack in that garage, they can look at that as, you know, Big U intimidating an informant, putting the pressure on him, and use that against Big U. But I just feel like Big U got more than that intimidation situation to worry about, you know. And Big U can try to put this motion in to see if he can have a reason to appeal, but I don't think that the judge is gonna grant this shit, because one thing that I see when situations like this, right, the judge looks at the whole case, right? And you better know that the judge is looking over this case. Appreciate that membership, Dustin. The judge is looking over the case, and the judge sees what's happening. The judge sees that it's intimidation here, it's extortion here. So them all knowing that Wack 100 is a 137, I don't think, you know, the judge is supposed to be the referee, but the judge is on the prosecutor's side, man. You gotta have like some solid shit for the judge to, you know, throw something away and not allow you to enter something. But if your whole case is based on intimidation and extortion, and then you talking about their number one star in 137, and they want to keep you confidential, it's their game. I want people to really understand this, right? We out here living under the law, but it's their game. The prosecutor, the judge, and the defense attorney, they all go to school for the same thing. It's their game. Straight up. When you get caught up in the judicial system, you're caught up in their game. So, of course, they're going to make and break the rules. Yeah, there's certain laws that you got to follow, and, you know, certain things they do what they want, and then they play unfair. So right now, right, they're looking at the bigger picture. You better know that the judge is looking at all of those extortion payments that were made. They looking at something bigger than this. This is like small. When I see this, the motion that he put in, it's like small, man. It's small. Yeah, I mean, I know he got to try to figure out how to fight his case, but I just think that the motion is small, man. Yeah, like it's, and you know, I've been through different things, so I look at the stuff from the things that I've been through, and it's like, man, it's a lot more to the case. When you out here committing multiple offenses and you really don't know the law and you don't know what you're doing, this is why it's their game. When they get you caught up, they bring this up, they bring that up, and they throw a whole bunch of shit at you, you know, so that they can make sure some shit stick. So I'm like, oh man, Big U, I just think he in a real sticky situation.
Now, here we have it. Right here, the government is saying that Big U is charged. These overt acts are not just things that were mentioned in the paperwork for exercise. You know, these are things that Big U is actually charged with, you know. And the reason why I find that funny is because one of the overt acts says that Big U made a statement saying that he was bigger than Nipsey Hussle. And I'm still confused on how that constitutes a federal crime. But.
And in this paperwork right here, right, they're talking about other shit too. They're talking about Big U in the calls regarding smuggling phones into the prison, showing the range of criminal activity conducted through the enterprise. They're saying like more than just Wack as well. It's a lot of shit that they're going at. It's like Big U built the case against himself from the things he said on the phone and the things he was doing and the things he was saying on the internet. They watching. They straight watching. They watching everything.
Like I said, the government is now saying that Big U is charged with assault on Wicked100. He's also charged with making threats to Wicked100. I'm interested to see how this is going to play out because Wack has been trying very hard to keep his name from being attached to this in the witness aspect. But when you look at things like this, the defendant should remain detained for the safety of the community, the victims and witnesses in this case. In defendant's own words, if I would have had a problem with any man, the issue would have been resolved and he wouldn't be here or I wouldn't be here. And for the hope of some semblance of justice for the families of his victims. Indeed, with seemingly just hours of notice of his pending arrest, defendant has already destroyed valuable evidence, attempted to paint a false narrative of his criminality in the public, and publicly condemned his enemies by name. He cannot be allowed to continue on this obstructive path. They would also state that further, the defendant's release would pose a serious risk to individuals whom have assisted the government in this case, as well as witnesses and victims who have so far refused to cooperate or provide statements because of what they know. As defendant made clear in an intercepted call on January 5th, 2023, being a rat means you are done. Indeed, trying to intimidate and dissuade anyone from cooperating with law enforcement or otherwise reporting information about defendant before turning himself in, defendant posted an Instagram video naming his co-defendants and known opponents, instructing the public to not associate with them and claiming if they did, they were not black.
You think that the judge is going to grant his motion when all his stuff is included? They're going to use all that. They're going to use all of that. Big U saying, don't mess with Wack, and they know Wack is a major part in the case. 600, loose cannon, his co-defendant. Like, you got to know when to be quiet. And I think like a lot of jokers want recognition. You know, they want to install fear. If you going to do something, man, just go do it. The worst thing you can do is pre-warn people. Straight up. That's the worst thing you can do, is to warn people of what you about to do, and you got to check in, and this is what I'm going to do, and that's the worst thing you can do. All you do is create evidence for yourself, against yourself.
So what they basically doing here is, this is two separate instances where the government was arguing that Big U should not be allowed to have bail. He should not be released. And in each one of those instances, they bring up the video that he made before he turned himself in. Now, if you're not familiar with this video, take a look.
So this is gonna probably be my last video. I'm gonna go turn myself in to see what's going on. They talking about I'm a fugitive. So they just raided all my houses. 600 was actually with the police when they raided my house. He's actually got video and footage of it. So y'all know what y'all dealing with. And I just want to say this to y'all. When they raided my houses and my property, they was asking about Wack. Wack, loose cannon, 600, and this internet stuff. All of y'all filed. All y'all who be sending shit around the internet, all y'all who be promoting and listening to what they're saying, all y'all giving these likes and hidden likes, all y'all supporting this. All y'all guilty of this shit. If you had something against a black man, you should handle it with a black man in the streets. Wack said 100 times he was gonna take my contracts. He working with the FBI.
When you
Now let's just be real, right? Listen to Big U, man. He said if you got a problem with a black man handling the streets while going to turn yourself in for a RICO of you extorting people in violent crime. Like, come on, man. And then you naming people that you know is on your case and people that you know is against you on the case, that's helping the feds. Big U really brought a lot of this shit on himself. You know, we can have hope for Big U, of course. Hope that he's able to fight and, you know, get the least situation he can get out of this. But he brought a lot of this shit on himself. Like, why? Nobody out here is going to help you. Ain't nobody riding for you against these people that you named. Nobody. Nobody is supporting you to help you. People on the internet talking about the situation. Yes. Yeah, everybody's talking about it. Yeah, free Big U, all that. Whoop-de-doo. That shit don't affect the judge. You saying free Big U, that shit don't do nothing for the judge. It don't send no message to the judge to say, all right, I'm a free. Not at all. The judge don't care about you saying free Big U. And like, I'm just saying facts. We all can go outside and rally and say free Big U. That shit ain't gonna do nothing for the case. These motherfuckers, they do this for a living. This is what they do as a job. Prosecutors, judges, they do this shit as a living to send people to jail. So we can say free Big U all we want. Big U done accumulated the evidence against itself for a long, lengthy mile. Literally. You know, it's like, I'm just keeping it real, man.
Take that video and couple it with the fact that the government is specifically referencing this Instagram live and saying that, you know, this guy is attempting to intimidate witnesses and victims and possibly deter other witnesses and victims. And they cite that he called out known opponents. It's pretty obvious what's going on here. I mean, Big U is saying, hey, y'all bringing up Wack100 in these uncharged acts and trying to use this stuff against me. And these aren't even crimes. Y'all haven't presented me no evidence of me doing anything to Wack or saying that Wack was inferior or any type of proof that I did this. And the government is responding saying those are not uncharged acts. Those are charged acts, and the proof will be offered at trial. So we can expect to see at some point during Big U's trial, the government put on a presentation.
That right there lets it be known. They definitely going, if you think that these people are not going to lay this case out in a trial, you don't know what's going on. These people are going to lay this case out. Yeah, at trial. They're going to lay this shit out from Big U on the phone talking, text messages, his homies talking, the niggas that's telling. This case going to be laid out. Yeah. And they sitting there saying they're going to present the things at trial. See, it's a lot of things that they're not presenting. It's a lot of things that's sealed. The feds are not going to put all their cards on the table from the beginning. The state not going to put all of their cards on the table from the beginning. Prosecutors ain't laying all their shit out so you can be able to be prepared. They want to catch you with a haymaker. That's the goal. They want to catch you with a haymaker and have you in there stumbling. They gonna come with shit at the last minute. Oh yeah, we ain't see this here. We ready to give you this. This go with this. Man, this is a game. And I say to everybody out there, understanding that when you in the streets, when you want to be a gangster, this is a game. You know, and this is a part of the game. It's just that you don't get a fair shot in the court. They ain't giving out no fair shots in the court. I know this personally. They play dirty. Yes, they do. But this is how they playing, you know? And you don't make it no better for yourself when you giving up evidence against your damn self. You don't make it no better. You telling niggas to check in and you pressing niggas, you do not make it better for yourself. You only make it worse. Big U was laughing when he was telling niggas to check in. If you look at those podcasts, when Big U was saying check in, he was laughing. That shit got him in there crying right now. It got him crying. Straight up. Sick. These are the things that us as people really don't be paying attention to when we be out there in the street, that when they grab you, they're not going to play fair. Like, this is the shit that people totally exempt from their brain. When you get grabbed by the system, they're not going to play fair. This ain't going to be, oh, I'm going to make you feel good, make you feel comfortable, I'm going to play fair. The game is, we got you, now you got to play by our rules. Straight up. We can say what we want. This is something that everybody should be thinking about. Yeah, that's crazy how they playing. They got you. All right, you playing by our rules, and it's our way. Straight up. You know, my homie, he was locked up for 5 years in the feds fighting the case. Went to trial once, then had to go back to trial. But they playing dirty. They keeping certain shit. They don't want to give you certain shit. This is what they do, though. This the shit we got to be mindful of when we free. Whenever you want to commit crimes and you want to say, I'm this, I'm that, understand when it's their turn, they're not going to play fair. They're going to play dirty because it's their turn now. You had your turn out there doing what you was doing. Now it's our turn. It's something that people got to be real.
Of a crime that Big U allegedly did against Wack100. And I'm assuming that we are going to see Wack100 testify in some form. And Wack knows that the time is coming, which is why I believe he made this video.
I always like to come to y'all first about anything I'm doing. I got a tough decision to make. Big U, when he turned himself in, made accusations that Wack100 and 600, he mentioned loose cannon, which he may very well be, but Wack100 and 600 was working with the feds to take him down. He said this to the world. My legal team, when it comes to my overall businesses and things that I do, they have some say-so in this matter. So I've been fighting them on what I didn't want to do, which is file anything against Big U for defamation and slander, as I did with World Star and LA Media, and I won that case, and I got paid.
Well, we all know Wack is lying about that. Wack didn't get paid nothing from World Star, right? And Wack's not going to sue Big U at all. This was just Wack trying to, put that out there because he said on many occasions that if somebody was to lie on you, then you would sue them if they saying that you them people. That's all he was doing, right? And I'm gonna say this too, right? Attorneys, and this is real rap, if they feel like you cooked, they'll tell you to cooperate. Yeah, they'll tell you, hey man, I think your best thing is to cooperate on this. You need to cooperate. I really think, yeah, it might be your best interest. Straight up. So it could have been, Wack being cool with his so-called legal team, that he been working with them and working for a while. And they know it could be that.
So anybody that talks to this man communicates with this man. I'm trying my best to keep my legal team from doing what they feel they're obligated to do.
To me, this was clearly Wack trying to intimidate people into not running stories about him snitching on Big U or being involved with Big U's case in any kind of way. Basically trying to put the narrative out there that this stuff is false. But as we see here, Big U is saying, hey, these are uncharged acts that y'all trying to put on my indictment. And the government is saying, no, these are not uncharged acts. These are part of the conspiracy and they are charges. So Wack obviously just talking because you're not going to get to sue. You can't sue somebody for telling the truth. You know, he's charged, bro. And it's related to you now. I'm interested to see how you will explain him being charged with a crime related to an offense with you that you claim you did not cooperate in. I doubt that if they had no information that he actually talked to you or threatened you or had an encounter with you, that they would be going forward with this. So obviously they got some information that this situation actually happened. Could it be?
Call third now about to expose something nobody ever knew.
Okay.
Oh, shit. So here it goes, right?
Ground zero, man.
And when you listen to Wack right here, you know, he's putting his storytelling voice on, right? And we know Wack does a lot of lying.
Here. All of this is a parking lot, right? I'm here. They walk down. They walk right past my car. They didn't even see me. When I seen them get here, I jumped out. Y'all looking for me? Right?
Shit.
They stopped. They back was to me. Y'all, I had everything I had. I could have dealt with everything in front of me. Now, what they didn't know is I'm talking to my team. Big Unim is here. Now watch this. Look, watch this. Big Unim is here. I'm here out the car. Third, who was here?
Listen to him though. This how you know he's lying though. You know, he's asking third who was here, right? But none of those, you know, third or his other homies, they didn't step up and he could have handled everything out there. And just look how he's trying to explain the position of where he was at. And, you know, Wack is a storyteller. You know, he's a liar. He's a storyteller. And we know he's spicing it up, man. We already know he begged and said, Eugene Henley, please don't do it. My wife, my kids. We already know this shit, right? But he's not going to say that part.
In here.
You taking notes?
Hold on. Third, who in that parking lot when I'm confronting these 20 Crips was 20 to 30 feet in every direction and they didn't know it? All my homies was behind them.
That's new information.
Listen.
That's new information, man.
So listen, check this out. So when I'm letting you know, there's no need to beg nothing. What did I tell that fool?
Let's do it.
My home, they still don't know to this day that all my homies was positioned 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 6 o'clock. They didn't even see them.
Like, Wack, you gotta relax on that one. He said all my homies was positioned. Come on, man. You got 4 homies that you say position, or 3 homies with you position, and it's 20 guys, right? What was they positioned for? Nobody stepped up. Nobody said nothing. They was hiding behind the cars. Like, make it make sense. So they was just hiding behind the cars. Position. Like, come on, Wack. Come on, man. Yeah. And then Wack say you looking for me. Like, come on, man. You say they looking for you, y'all looking for me, but you don't pop nothing. Like, stop it, man. You gotta relax, bro. You the most lying storytelling dude we ever met, man. Straight up. Like, for real. Appreciate that super chat, bro. This nigga really said he hopped out and said, you looking for me. That shit wild. You looking for me? Like, yeah, right. I don't think anybody believes that shit. Yeah, nah. You don't even say that when people checking you now, talking about they want to fade. You don't pull up saying you looking for me now. Like, we know you was out there shook daddy, Wack. You gotta relax, bro. We know you was shook daddy out there, bro. You was in fear. You was in there shaking. Yeah, you might have had that iron, but you was shaking. Cause you ain't want to pop nothing. That situation would have got big. So you ain't want that.
I'm talking to my homies in code, letting them know which way I'm gonna push them. I said, nigga, ain't number 20 of y'all.
Come on, Wack. This nigga said I'm talking to my homies in code, letting them know which way I'm gonna push them. How did you talk code, Wack? You throw sign language up? Yo, this dude is crazy.
I'm a down 3 of y'all. I just told him I'm gonna get off in 3s. Right? At that point, he knows if he getting off in 3s, when he go to 2s, he running out of it. These dudes right now to this day had no idea that they was ambushed.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I don't know, man.
Y'all hear him though? He said, I just told my homie in code that I was going to get off in 3s. Like, Wack, you got to relax with this shit, bro. And then they know when I get down to 2, they know what it is. Like, come on, man. Wack always talking this homicide talk. Like he like that. Nigga know he's soft as drugstore cotton. But he be talking that homicide talk, man. Hey, yo. Yo, you gotta relax with this shit, bro.
I really don't know, man. But what I do know is the time is soon approaching for us to see. And I do know for sure that Big U is charged with this situation related to Wack100. So with that said, I'm going to wrap this one up, man. Hit that hype button before you get up out of here. Hit that like button before you...
Yeah, man. Like, on some real shit, though. Wack said he had his homie's position. He was talking to him in code. And then he said, yo, I'm going to get off in 3s. Like, nobody believes that shit. You know what I mean? Nobody. Yeah, Wack been playing GTA. That's what it is. Wack has been playing GTA. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's definitely crazy that he believes his own lies. Because I don't think anybody else believes that shit. Yeah, I don't think even nobody in that room believe that shit. If we being real. I don't think not one of these individuals. Look at Vlad. Look how Vlad's sitting there looking. Look how Trap Lord, he trying to listen. Axe sitting there in La La Land. Remo back over there in La La Land. And Adam in La La Land. They all looking somewhere else. Only person sitting there looking at him really is Trap Lord Ross. Yeah. I guess he was trying to convince Trap Lord Ross of the shit. Yeah, he must have been trying to convince Trap Lord Ross. Because I don't think nobody else was going for that shit in the room. Yeah, I'm going to get off in 3s. I got my homie position over here. I got the homie over there. And then I'm over there talking in code. So you hopped out the car. It's like, I think he exaggerated too much, so it really made it look crazy. So you hopped out the car and said, homie, y'all looking for me? And then at the same time, while you got 20 niggas in front of you, you over there talking in code to the niggas over hiding behind the cars. Yo, Wack, we know it ain't go like that, bro. Like, you did too much on that one, bro. I ain't even gonna hold you. You really did way too much. You know, you was better off saying something like, yeah, I seen him, I hopped out, you know what I mean? I pulled the strap out. you know, and then they backed up. This nigga said he hopped out, told him, y'all looking for me, and then he's talking to his homies in code, and they don't even know your homies is over there. How are you talking to your homies in code, and they don't even see you looking in the direction? What the fuck, y'all got some type of sign language y'all be doing with each other? Don't tell me that. Y'all got some type sign language, how y'all be corresponding? Y'all niggas over there, hold up. And then these niggas in front of you can't see it? Or is it, if I blink 5 times, you know I'm about to down something? Like, come on, Wack. That shit crazy. Like, I'm just saying, me personally, I could never deal with a dude like Wack. Nah, I could never deal. I don't care who he knows, who he's connected. We can't hang out, bro. Straight up. I don't want to hear your stories. I'll be ready to tell you, man, if you don't shut up, bro, I don't want to hear your stories, man. Straight fabricated. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't want to hear you lie. You ready to tell me about your stories that you got on the ground? You rolled, you ducked one, you jumped up, you caught one over here, you threw one back, you popped this over here, and then it's like, come on, bro. I can't get jiggy with that shit. Yeah, I can't get jiggy with that shit. Yeah, I can't get jiggy with that. So it's like, I already know boy's cat. You know what I'm saying? I already know he cat. You know, so I'm sure other people, when they listen to that shit, it's like, man, come on, bro. Come on, bro. Like, for real. If you out there and you got some real beef and you got the iron out, you're not talking to nobody in code. You're not talking to nobody with the strap in your hand and there's people in front of you and you got beef. You're not talking in code to a soul. Your mind is on these people in front of you. You ain't gonna be saying no code messages to this person and code messages to that person. You're not saying nothing in code. You got beef in front of you right now. It's war. What is you talking about? Like, for real, man. He should have left that part out of the shit, if we being real. Yeah. I really feel like, yo, you should have left that part out, Wack. It's like you went too far. You made the story really unbelievable from how far you went with it. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. Come on, bro. This nigga talking about he had the toolie out and he gave the code and he looking for me and like, come on, bro. Yeah. But we heard what happened. You said, please, Eugene Henley, don't do it. Everybody heard that shit. Please, Eugene Henley, don't do it. Please. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button.